This is the gun that police believe the instigator of this murder plot wanted to get his hands on to assassinate ex-loyalist paramilitary leader Johnny Mad Dog Adair. On the day Anton Duffy was arrested, the AK-47 was recovered from a cupboard in a flat in Paisley. It had been stored next to a Hoover and Christmas decorations. The jury was shown this footage of what the weapon is capable of.
Clearly extremely dangerous individual's intent in committing what was, in effect, an act of terrorism, although unaffiliated to any other terrorist organisation.
I'm not a member of any illegal organisation.
Anton Duffy from Donegal started planning this murder plot while he was in prison for brandishing a loaded handgun in a Glasgow nightclub. He had two targets, the ex-UDA leader and Adair's former right-hand man, Sam Skelly McCrory.
But you say that there's a AK that could possibly be made available for arm-piercing rounds.
In covert recordings, Anton Duffy was heard talking about the AK. While in prison, he referred to the weapon as the big fella. Police say he wanted the assault rifle to ensure that the murder of Johnny Adair was high profile. While in jail, the 39-year-old made no secret of his hatred of the convicted terrorist known as Mad Dog. Johnny Adair was released from the Maze prison in September 1999 under the Good Friday Agreement after serving barely a third of his sentence for directing terrorism. Both Adair and McCrory moved to Scotland after an internal loyalist feud and have been living in Ayrshire for several years. It was intelligence from MI5 that triggered a 10-month surveillance operation. Duffy's home was bugged, so too was his cousin's car. 1,300 conversations were recorded between the 39-year-old and others, including his two co-accused, Martin Hughes and Paul Sands.
He was free every single day and by his teeth, but I haven't seen his teeth now.
Officers were listening in as the three men travelled to Ayrshire to plan their first murder. Police say the plot to kill Sam McCrory was more advanced. One of the accused, Paul Sands, a so-called friend of McCrory, knew his movements and knew where he lived. This was to look like a random shooting.
Soft, and the revolver's back up its head and goes wrong.
There is no question that Anton Duffy is motivated by dissident Northern Irish Republican terrorism, but there was nothing during the course of the investigation to suggest that any wider organisation either authorised or sanctioned any of the activities of Duffy, but it's clear that was the perception he wished to portray.
There's still bewilderment among loyalists as to what this was all about. There is equal puzzlement among some dissident Republicans I have spoke to, especially in Derry, about who these people were. If this had been credible and indeed had been executed, that would have marked a major shift in the relationship between dissident republicanism and loyalism, and there would have been questions asked, investigations carried out, and who knows, perhaps retaliation.
Two others, Craig Convery and Gordon Brown, were found guilty of charges of being involved in organised crime. All 5 men will be sentenced next month. Johnny Adair said this evening that he was glad that the trial was over, but he added that he feared that this case will refresh people's memories of the past. He described the men as other wannabes trying to make a name for themselves. Sharon Frew, UTV Live at the High Court in Glasgow.